boy, was I impressed with Congress yesterday. You know?
They always find a way to make you think a little less of them. You know, they always can cross that line.
Mazie Hirono was...
dumb.
Ooh. What?
Well, she's America's dumbest senator. That's already confirmed. She won the competition with Ryan Seacrest hosting. And it was a great show, by the way.
Yeah.
I would totally watch that show.
That. Oh, I would watch that. Can you imagine a
brilliant.
Jeopardy with the Senate and the House?
Oh my gosh! And they ask them to tough questions. They all end up with 0, and the winner gets 0. Like, you know, Mazie Hirono somehow wins, but she's got $0.
Yeah.
Everyone else has negative.
Right.
Right. I think they should have to pay the negative dollars to Ryan Seacrest.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's one of the more incredible. Cut 15. Here's Mazie Hirono on taking over Greenland. We have it?
To take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark.
Senator, one of the things that President Trump is so good at is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another direct what orders the president would give me in any context.
That sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland.
Oh, does it?
And take over the Panama Canal.
Does it?
Oh.
Wow. That's
wow. You don't know what the English language really means, do you? You don't know what these words mean.
A lot of them had that problem.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have a big sword? Because I think Secretary of Defense should have a big sword. I like swords. How much do swords cost?
And that was the smartest line of questioning.
It really was.
It
really was. How many tanks do we have? Do we have, like, just the ones I see on TV, or do we keep some of them secret so we can surprise people with more tanks? I want to know. Answer the question.
My God. Bad.
Are drones really just like big bees?
They could be. They make noises like big bees, Mazie.
Instead of missiles, have we thought about using Thor's hammer? Because they would come right back to us.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Can we get the Space Force to look into alien cows? I read online that alien cows are why we need stronger fences in Iowa. What's the Pentagon doing? Do you like nachos? I mean...
I would rather watch that. Whatever you just did,
right.
I would rather watch them doing that.
Oh, my gosh.
Than what actually occurred.
I mean, those could have been questions yesterday.
Yeah.
It was that insane. Will you use the military to invade Greenland? Do you like nachos? Of course not. Invade Greenland. Iceland, maybe, but not Greenland.
No, never. It's too big.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no, of course. It's funny because he says he would never strategically tip his hand. And it's funny because Trump, in a way, always tips his hand, right? Like, he does want Greenland. He has tipped his hand. He's told us about it for years.
But he
does want the border secure.
Right.
He's told us about that for years. He's very. But when it comes to specific things he's willing to do and not do in a negotiation, he'll suggest a bunch of stuff, but you don't know what's real.
Right.
That's why he's a good negotiator. You don't know. You know, you bring up that Tiffany's example.
Yeah.
You've brought that up before. Mm-hmm. I was in the city, and I was telling my kids that story.
Yeah.
And God only knows if it's true. You're the one that told it to me.
No, I said to it. I told him. I said, your negotiating gift is unbelievable. I said, I've never questioned your negotiating power since I heard the story about Trump Tower and Tiffany's. And he laughed and he said, good for you for knowing that story.
Yeah.
And I said, that is just what incredible. That takes balls of steel.
Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know it, maybe you should give a 30-second version of it because now we've teased it
Tiffany's
too much.
was not going to sell him the air rights so he could build the Trump Tower. He had already bought the property, so he goes, it was either Tiffany's or Cartier. And so he goes to the board and he says, look, I'm going to build this building. It's going to be beautiful, going to be 70 stories. And they're like, well, we own the air rights and we're not going to sell them to you because we don't want a big building like that. And he said, oh, you know what? I thought you might say that. I already own the property. So if you don't, and he rolled out architectural plans of what he describes as the ugliest building he could possibly build. 3 stories. And he said, okay, well, if you don't let me build the Trump Tower, I'm going to build this. And they said, no, you wouldn't. And he said, watch me. And he left. By the time he got back to the office, they had given him the air rights.
Right. That's who he is.
That's who he is.
Now, would he have built that building? I think the answer to that is there are circumstances in which he would have.
Yes.
Which is important.
And there's
you don't
also
make threats, make promises, right?
Yeah, there's also circumstances where he would have just sold the property.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I think,
and you don't know which.
And you don't know which.
Yeah.
And that's why it works.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I don't think there's any chance. I don't believe there is any chance whatsoever outside of like, I don't know, China taking over Greenland first, right? Something like that, we might invade Greenland. But I don't think there's any chance we just invade Greenland.
Of course not.
However,
yes.
First of all, I said I don't think there's any chance. There's some doubt even in my mind that we might do it. And that's why it works.
Right. When he was like, hey, the little missile guy, I'm going to show you new missiles. That's why it works. Yeah. Because Kim Jong-un and everybody in the world went, is he willing to launch nukes against this guy? I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Who knows? And that's why it's successful. It's why there's something behind it. So,
yes. It's why the hostages are being released by 12 o'clock on Monday. Have you heard that?
I've heard it's not confirmed, right?
It's credible speculation.
Okay, because I know, obviously, Donald Trump has been threatening it, and he said, "Get it done before I come into office."
Yeah, or there will be real consequences, and there will be.
And stepping
we might
back,
take Greenland.
Just thinking of think of the politics of this for a moment, because if you go back to Iran, Carter's leaving, Reagan's coming in,
right.
The second Reagan takes over, they release the hostages, right? And everyone remembers it exactly that way, right?
Yeah, right.
Reagan essentially is responsible for that. They, as soon as they came in, 2 things: they didn't like Carter, and they were afraid of Reagan, and they said, "Okay, we're out," and they leave the blackjack table. Trump, I don't know. You know him better than I do, but in my view, Trump is smart enough. First of all, number one, really wants the hostages out. Can't believe the way we handle this.
Yeah.
So that's true.
Yeah.
But also has thought about that historical precedent.
Oh, of course he has.
And he comes out and he says, do it before I come in.
Yes.
Which now, if they do it before he comes in, it is not a Biden credit.
Nope.
It is his.
Yep.
And of course, if they do it after that, it's also his.
Yeah.
He wins both ways.
Oh, he is. I mean, he has... I'm telling you, I think he's the sharpest he's maybe ever been.
Oh, please don't! I'm having PTSD after 4 years of hearing that about Biden. I don't know. I can't handle.
No.
Don't say he's sharp as a tack, please.
Best. No. Just the best negotiator he may have ever been. Everything is a negotiation. What he's doing with Pete Hegseth, all negotiation. How he's handling all of the stuff with the House and the Senate, all negotiation. He is a master negotiator, and he knows, the reason why he's so good at real estate negotiation is because he knows it inside and out.
Yeah, experience.
He didn't know it the first time.
Yeah, and the first term was
all gut.
It was there's 2 things. We I think have argued for a long time. It would be great to have someone outside of the system who thinks about these things differently.
Yes.
And he had that part of it.
Yes.
But the criticism of that, and this has played out in other realms before, where you say, well, the person, they don't know the system. They don't know the buttons to press. They don't know the levers to pull. And so that, especially at the beginning of his term, really wasn't there. He was learning it. I mean, to his kind of his own, he's even told that story before.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's in the position where he's kind of has both. He's an outsider and he knows the system, which is a combination we haven't seen before. It's because it's unique, right? It's not something that occurs a lot.
Everybody goes in wanting to use the system. He wants to shut the system down.
This is going to be a fascinating few years, man.
Unbelievable.
We are going to have plenty to talk about. That I can guarantee.
I'm not tired of winning yet. Are you tired of winning?
No.
I mean, let me give you. Let me take a quick break, and then we'll get back to Pete Hegseth. But I got to tell you, we had 4 huge ESG wins. Huge.
Yeah.
Like, it's over. And I hate to say that because they never surrender. They just morph. But the way they've been operating and what happened here in the last couple of days, it's over.